Hello, everyone, and welcome to the City Club of Cleveland's annual meeting. My name is Alyssa Raybuck, and I am the Communications and Program Innovation Manager here at the City Club. And it is really exciting because I have my colleagues on stage with me, and instead of a panel of community experts, we're going to be hearing from members of the City Club staff, who I hope are familiar faces to most of you. And we're going to do things a little different. We're going to have a panel discussion about ourselves, which is not what we normally do, but we're going to share a little bit about the work that we've done over the last year, some highlights, and what we're looking forward to in the future. And so I'm joined on stage today by my colleagues, Tiffany Claiborne, Tiffany France to many of you, but Tiffany Claiborne now, who is our manager of outreach and membership. Cynthia Connolly, who's our director of programming. And I think on the end, most of you know Mr. Dan Moulthrop, our chief executive officer here at the City Club, right? A new guy. But we're really excited to be here, and thank you all for joining us. I want to start by looking back at this time, a little earlier than this time last year, in summer of 2021. We were getting ready to come back to in-person programming. We were going to bring this audience back to this room and to other spaces across the community. So I'm going to start with Cynthia. Can you talk a little bit? You were new to the staff, and we were about to start bringing people back in person. So what did that look like?
Yeah, so I remember I joined here in June of 2021, and one of the first forums that I did was actually the primary debate for District 11, and just baptism by fire, just like here, run this debate with all these really important people. But it was a ton of fun, had an absolute blast, and that was one of the many times that I got to work with Jill Ziman of the Ohio Debate Commission, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But one of the very first forums that I had the privilege of working on was our public square forums. And it was the first public square back since the pandemic. And everyone was kind of uncertain, what to do, how to pull this off. Are people still going to come? But it's outdoors. And we are so glad that we made that happen. And some of those conversations that we had were really impactful and relevant. We were talking about essential workers. We had, a love letter to Cleveland talking about race and racism. And it was just really impactful conversations and a lot of fun to work on, and we had a great turnout for all of them. And I can't imagine a better way to kick off our in-person forums.
Absolutely. It was a nice way to ease back into bringing that community back in person in our audience.
Yep.
And Tiffany, you were kind of our manager in charge of safety, logistics, how we were going to bring the audience like we see today back in person at the City Club. So tell us about your experience doing that.
So absolutely, as the member and outreach manager, my goal was to communicate how we were getting back. And I wanted to put an emphasis that we cared about you all, that we wanted to make sure, we wanted to let everybody know about mask requirements and our vaccine rollout and how we were going to handle that. So that was really important to us. And also just getting the community back in the room. So I'm in charge of our community partnership, and I wanted to make sure that our community partnership was at a core focus for the forum. So that is what I focused on.
Thank you. Dan.
Well, when we came back, there were some lessons from the pandemic that we learned. We had done at that point 15 months of purely online programming, and we were I was so done with the screen, the little screen, and bringing people back to Public Square, then here in the room. Everybody, I think our first audience in here was 75 people, and we were like, "Can we do this?" Yeah. And we did. And it was fantastic, but some of the lessons were about our relevance. It was really clear that we heard again and again from people that thanks to our ability to switch quickly to digital and we didn't miss a single Friday forum thanks to our friends at IdeaStream Public Media, which was really nice. They immediately let us, when nobody was going into the office, they let me come into the studio and a few of us come into the studio so we could produce the forums from there. And we heard again and again that we were continuing to provide this really important service of keeping the community connected and keeping the community really just informed about what was happening. And that was such an isolating time. So knowing that the virtual audience, the online audience was so important, we have continued to push that. And knowing too that we don't always have to have people on the stage, that when there's somebody important who we want to hear from and they're in Washington and they can't make it, we can get them on the big screen here, put together a hybrid kind of production, and still serve the community and still create these conversations of consequence that help democracy thrive. So that was, I mean, from a programming standpoint, that was really one of the biggest lessons. The other big lesson I just need to say too had to do with the other things that we might be able to do. So we have, you know, in the room, we have some folks from Lutheran Metropolitan Ministries, or formerly from Lutheran Metropolitan Ministries, and we started a partnership with them during COVID that has continued. At first, it was all about just getting food out the door so that they could feed, you know, create 10,000 meals every week for the unhoused population, for our unhoused neighbors. And now we have students from Lutheran Metropolitan Ministries who are training in our kitchen every week, thanks to Chef Adam. So, I mean, that's just those sorts of programs we figured out they were important then. We can continue to use all of this for the greater good.
Thanks. Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of students, I do want to talk about a group that is prevalent in almost all of our forums. And when we returned to in-person programming, students were returning to the classroom in person, and that meant students were being welcomed back to the City Club. And so, Tiffany, you manage our student engagement program. Can you talk a little bit about what you heard from teachers and students as they started to fill these seats as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Our students and teachers were excited. They were excited to be back in the room, and we were glad to have them. They used our virtual programming for lesson plans. So when we announced we were coming back, they were excited to introduce those as field trips. I have one teacher that gave me a testimonial that I want to read to you all. It's from Lisa Ellis. She's an educator at MC2 STEM School, a CMSD school. She says, since the beginning of this year alone, our students have been able to attend 7 in-person City Club forums. For me, it is a gift to see our students and the issues they and their families face in their own lives and communities reflected in these forums. Most notably, we're coming out and coming of age, and it takes a village. It is this reason we keep coming back, for our young people to recognize themselves and challenges they feel are uniquely theirs in a City Club programming. It not only gives them hope for the future, but reminds them that there are people in their corner right now doing the good, hard work on their behalf. My hope is that they will feel inspired, empowered by this, and continue the work as they become adults. So this is why student programming is so important at the City Club, and why we love having them back.
Can I just add something really quick? I mean, that program, Tiffany, that you run is so important. And what I always tell people is that the City Club is really one of the only places in our community where students are participating in civic life right alongside their adult counterparts, and they typically outperform their adult counterparts in the quality of their questions.
Yes.
And it's like, and it really is. I mean, all of us have been wowed by those questions that students ask sometimes. Yes. And those 2 forums, It Takes a Village was the Jasmine Long Forum about birthing beautiful communities.
Yeah.
And the Coming Out and Coming of Age was, there were these students, these teenagers on the stage who identify as part of the trans community, completely sharing in all their vulnerability and their strength what life is like for them. And it was just an extraordinary program. Anyway, I'm so glad. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, but that's it. And that's the importance of our student participation. Our young citizens are very engaged, and I'm happy to oversee that program.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Cynthia, it has been a big political year, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
As you mentioned, one of your first forums was the District 11 congressional debate.
Yeah.
We hosted mayoral primary and general election debates. I think we had 15 candidates for office on this stage in the last year, and over 30 politics and public policy forums in that subject area. So it was politics all the time at the City Club, in addition to all of the other amazing programming we do. So can you talk a little bit about that and that area and some highlights from that?
I mean, this is kind of some of the bread and butter of what City Club does, right? The politics, the policy, the civic engagement. And we worked very closely with our partners at IdeaStream Public Media to host the primary debates, the mayoral primary debates. So we hosted 2 of those, as well as one general election debate between Kevin Kelly and now Mayor Justin Bibb. And it was really incredible to be able to bring that to the people, broadcasting live on TV, really vetting those questions from the community. These questions came directly from the people of Cleveland. And to us, that was the most important. And it actually ended up becoming a model that we used to get some of the questions for the Cuyahoga County executive race, our debate that we had, was it last month? Yeah, and also for the state of the city, another a forum that we hosted with Mayor Justin Bibb. So really using that model of community engagement, getting into the neighborhoods that sometimes don't feel like they have their voice heard. And we're really proud to be part of that, to do those debates. And then similarly, we had a forum on issue 24. I don't know if any of you were here for that one. It was about the charter amendment that was going to bring more police accountability. And we actually had a panel of 4 individuals from complete opposite ends of the spectrum. We had the city law director here, we had a police captain here, we had Subodh Chandra, who drafted the charter, and Prentice Haney, who was part of the Ohio Organizing Collaborative, who was really trying to get that charter amendment on the ballot. And it was really interesting to have, these folks from varying backgrounds, points of view, have a very civil and candid conversation about what this means to the people of Cleveland and to our neighborhoods and communities. And so bringing forums like that is really what, fills my bucket, as I say. It just really grows my heart. And then also having the Republican and Democratic Party chairs here, again, showing you how we can bring, and it's very on theme for today's conversation, what we're going to have later on today, with Robert Paduchik and Liz Walters, the chairs of the Republican and Democratic parties. That's where I think the City Club shines, and I was glad to be part of that.
Wonderful, thank you. Tiffany, I would like to talk to you a little bit about our membership. I think we're a unique organization that, since our inception, has been founded and grown by individual members, corporate members, nonprofit members, and many of you in the room fall into those buckets, and we are just grounded by the work that our members do and volunteering for us. And Tiffany has really grown our member engagement over the last year. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I just want to thank our members first and foremost, all our members here, our board members, just for your engagement throughout this whole year. You've been here through it all, through the pandemic, virtual programming, and then now back in person. So I want to say thank you. You are our foundation, and we're celebrating 110 years this week. So, we all should be proud, because we started off as all men, and now we're women, men, every way, race, creed, gender, religion. So thank you. But yeah, we're engaging our members through volunteers. So a member volunteer might have checked you in today, or later on you'll see a member volunteer do Q&A. So that's a way that we've engaged with our members, and they love doing it, and we love having them here. And then also through our yearly roundtables, which a lot of you were there. And the next one I think is going to happen during the holidays, so stay tuned. And I think that's it, yeah.
Dan, I know you love our members.
I do love our members.
I think we're all members. We're all also members of the City Club in addition to working
we
here,
are.
which is
And
very cool.
It was my engagement as a member, as a member volunteer, that got me hooked into all of this, and eventually got me interested in working here. But when I started as a member volunteer, I was on one of the program committees, and that's another way that our members get deeply involved. Members, all of you, I have to say thank you. We had an extraordinarily successful year financially last year. Part of the job of this annual meeting is to review the balance sheet and all of that. You guys were huge. You came through really big. And I really want to recognize our board members, our current board members and past board members. Many of you are here right now. If you could stand up for a second so we could all recognize you for all of the work, the fiscal kind of guidance that you provided. Present and past. Len Calabrese, stand up, come on. Past board members should stand as well. It was, if you look through there's right at your table, there's a little postcard, and there's a QR code. You can look through our annual report. It's digital this year, and you'll get to those, to the expenses and the revenues and all of that, and you'll see it was great. We had about $2.1 million in revenue in the last fiscal year, and a little over and just under 1.8 million in expenses. So I know like a lot of you are really good at math, so you've already figured out that was a successful year, and really one of the most successful. Your engagement was one of the reasons why that was. And our board members, I don't know how many of you realize this, but you know, if we receive every year somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000 from our corporate community, our corporate partners in support, our board members are connected to close to $400,000 of that. And that's real meaningful work and contributions that they're doing. So on behalf of the staff, thank you to all of our board members. But also I think our membership should know that as well. And I should also sort of acknowledge too that part of the reason that was successful is many nonprofit organizations found that the government assistance through the Paycheck Protection Program was also something that buoyed us as well. So if you were wondering if that program worked, the answer is yes, it worked. So that's kind of the financial picture as well.
Mm-hmm. And I know something that we've talked about is that we also had 100% staff retention.
We did.
So we're all still here.
Thanks, guys.
We're all still here and hanging out with you.
Yeah. Made my job a lot easier, not gonna lie.
Okay, so we're gonna, something that we say as a team a lot is that the City Club is more of a spirit than a place. You know, most of our forums take place in this home at 850 Euclid Avenue, but we go out into the community and host forums. We mentioned Public Square as our return to in-person programming last year. And we find ourselves in a lot of different homes in the community. And Cynthia, you're planning programs in new spaces all the time. So can you talk about some of our different homes throughout the last year?
So I actually looked back at our forums and realized that we started the fiscal year and ended the fiscal year in the community, not here at 850 Euclid. And to me, that really is a testament of, you know, the importance of getting out of this building. I know we all love having, a nice lunch here by chef and, hanging out with everyone here, but it's really important that we get into the community. I know that's one of my personal goals and Dan, our goal. And one of the first and foremost things I hear from our member committees, we have the health, we have debate, we have general programming, education, global issues. Those are our 5 member committees, and they're all about getting into the community. One of the most powerful forums that we had was actually at Morning Star Baptist Church on the east side of Cleveland, and that was in partnership with our friends at the St. Luke's Foundation as part of their Health Equity Series and their 25th anniversary. And we had a panel of 4 local community members who were doing amazing work in power building, in civic engagement. It was moderated by Erica Anthony with Cleveland Votes. And being able to see us lift up those voices and be in the community, be with people who might not always be able to get here at lunchtime on Euclid Avenue. So that was really important. I think we'll be doing a lot more of those.
Did you know, by the way, that one of the panelists is now about to be appointed just to circle this back to issue 24. One of the panelists is about to be appointed, Rodriguez, about to be appointed to the Charter Commission.
So it's really cool to see kind of like that full circle. And then also we're back at Happy Dog. We had, if anyone's been to Happy Dog for our forums, it's a really a moment to like let down your hair. The conversations can be a little more raw. Yes, Dan. And you get tater tots and hot dogs with Fruit Loops on it while you're talking about global issues. But we actually pivoted a little bit. It used to be just world affairs, and now we're taking on everything at Happy Dog. And so we use that as an opportunity to respond to some of the more current affairs and pressing issues that we see in our community. For example, just next week, we're going to be talking about participatory budgeting, which I personally think is a fascinating topic, but it's all about engaging civically. You can vote as a citizen, but how else can you engage civically to represent your people? And participatory budgeting is that.
It's way more interesting with beer.
Yes, absolutely. So we're back at the Happy Dog too, which is a lot of fun, and I think shows you we can have these very serious, real conversations, but in more of a low-key way.
Thanks, Cynthia. And I know that a lot of the forums, you mentioned our member committees, but Tiffany manages a network of 80 community partners who help us both with the people that we put on stage, getting audience members. How does the community partner program work, and how did you use that in the last year?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, like we started off with a strong focus on community partnership. What that means is reaching out to nonprofits, particularly grassroots organizations, that mission and purpose aligns with the forum's topic. And so that's what I do for every forum. I do my research, I see who needs to be in the room, and we assign community partners, and they jump on, they do promotion for us, and then they help fill the room with the community. And that was really important to us, and every forum that you've seen, even today's forum, has been filled by community partners, with community people that need to be a part of the conversation. So shout out to Plexus, who is here today, and also Facing History Cleveland, who's here in YWCA, so thank you. And our community partnership, they really uphold our mission of creating conversations of consequence and also continuing the conversation. So that's why we do this.
Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna switch gears real quick to a speed round of questions because we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's Cleveland/City Club themed.
Okay.
Okay, we're just gonna go down the line. I'm gonna start with Tiff,
Oh, Lord.
Cynthia, Dan, and we're gonna go through. Okay, you're coming to the City Club for lunch. Are you getting a salad or the hot meal?
I'm more of a hot meal.
Okay.
Immediately hot meal.
Okay.
Hot. Always
Wow,
hot.
I'm a salad girl. I just, chef makes a good salad. Okay, you're looking at your table. You're seeing what your neighbors have. What dessert are you taking? The lemon square, or the brownie?
I'm a brownie.
Yeah?
Brownie.
I'm brownie too, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I get in arguments, I get in a lot, no, it's this ongoing like it's a manufactured Twitter war about lemon squares
It
with
is.
Joe Simperman.
Yeah.
But it was actually, you can trade desserts. This was inspired by Merle Johnson. I saw her unhappy with like whatever was in front of her, and she started to reach for a cookie, and I just, if you don't like what's in front of you, it's a
Trade
good
with
reason.
your neighbor.
It's fellowship. It's dessert fellowship.
Yes.
It's
Barter.
trade.
Barter for it.
Yeah,
Okay, so you've had your lunch, you've had your
they're
dessert,
doing it. They're trading.
you're getting ready to leave. Are you taking the elevator or the stairs to the parking garage?
Stairs.
Stairs.
Stairs. That's like
Yeah,
no brainer.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, you can only pick one professional sports team in Cleveland. Browns, Cavs, Guards. Who do you pick?
All of them, but I'm a brownie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dessert and in sports.
Yes. Yes.
Cynthia?
You're okay. Michigan.
Wait, what?
I totally went off script. Sorry, guys, but that's
okay.
my alma mater.
That
I
wasn't an
can't.
option.
I can't.
That's okay. Dan?
The Cavs.
Cavs.
Kevin Clayton's in the room.
Okay. Okay, so final speed round. You have to sport City Club in the community. Are you wearing a baseball cap or are you wearing a beanie?
I'm a beanie.
Beanie?
Definitely a baseball cap.
Dan? Beanie.
Well, it's cold.
I know.
The weather just
I
changed.
mean, winter aside. Okay, so quick side note. After many, many years of all of us on the team wanting to have City Club merch, we now have City Club merch. We've got tote bags, we've got umbrellas, we've got hats, we've got all the things. So after today's program, across the lobby in the Mandel room, come and buy some swag. It's very fun.
Yeah.
Rep the City Club and all things. So we're very excited about that. That ends our really quick speed round, but I just want to take a moment and go through each of your kind of highlights of gratitude over the last year. What was something that you're most grateful for at the City Club? Tiffany?
Grateful for my job. I know that's like cliche, but like I am. And just for you all, just like seeing your beautiful faces. I really love coming to work and like engaging with everyone and meeting new people. And like our team, we have such a close team, and we're all so like we're like friends. So I'm grateful for that.
I am really grateful for my first full year here at City Club, my first fiscal year. Just being welcomed by not only my staff here, the board, but also the members. It's been such a joy to me to be able to meet each and every one of you. Some of you I knew before I started working here, but it's every week I'm meeting new faces and new people, and it really just makes this job a lot of fun.
There's a relevance, I mentioned this word before, relevance to the work that we do, and I'm grateful to have that kind of work. I'm grateful that that people send me so many ideas, and honestly sometimes it's like, oh my God, another email with an idea, but it is but this is what we're here for, So it's just exciting to be able to provide this platform. It's such a privilege. It's such a privilege to be able to provide this platform for the community, and so I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Thank you, everyone.
What are you grateful for?
Oh, you guys, you're the best. This team on the hardest of days has your back, and so it makes really joyful days like today easier, and really challenging days easier too. So you guys are the best. Finally, Dan, what's happening in the year ahead? Anything to highlight? Cool forums? What's going on?
There's a lot of look. Our whole community is at this kind of pivotal moment. This moment where it's an inflection point for our whole community. There's a lot of leadership changes happening. There's a renewed sort of civic energy, I think, that might not be dissimilar, to use too many negatives, to the progressive era, and that kind of spirit of civic engagement and what Newton D. Baker referred to as civitas. And we're also thinking about how we can better serve the community as well, both in our programming. We think about, what is it going to take to ensure that we have democracy in the year 2100? I hate to put that big question in front of you, but it's not a given, right? And that's partly what we're talking about today with Dave Isay, who walked in here. You probably figured out that was Dave Isay when he walked in. But also, so how we can better serve the community, both in the programming that we provide and the way that we provide it, and the platform that we give it, and the space that we create for it. So that's what we're thinking about. And we do have some big things we're thinking about, some big things we're planning. So look forward to some big announcements soon.
Okay, so with that, trade your desserts. Say hi to people at your table that you might not know, and lunch will be served in the next few minutes, and we will be back at noon for our Friday Forum with Dave Isay, and our annual meeting is now adjourned.